librarian currently living and working in Austria, and I just got back from YALC. I wanted to share with you the way too many books that I ended up picking up there over the course of the 2 days that I spent at YALC. So let's get into it. First up, I wanted to share the one ARC that I did pick up while I was there. This year was a little different. Now, I haven't been to YALC since, I think, 2017. And obviously the past 2 years, it was just at home YALC. But things have really changed in the last 5 years since I last attended. At that point, publishers were still like putting out ARCs you could pick up at the beginning of the day, or doing random ARC drops throughout the day and tweeting about it. So there was a lot less work involved to get these things. So this year, a lot of them were like random raffles for ARCs, or you had to complete some sort of activity or contest to be entered to win one. So I did not win very many, and to be fair, I didn't make an effort for many of them, but this one was like figuring out some sort of code, and this is for Rudis Pettis's most recent book called I Must Betray You. I'm pretty sure this is already out in the United States, but it doesn't come out in the UK until August, so they did have proofs of it. And this one is set in 1989 in communist Romania. And I am pretty sure that there's some type of like mystery or spy element to this that sounds really interesting. Other than that, I don't have a lot of details about it, but I am looking forward to reading it. So that is the first book that I picked up, and the only one that is an ARC copy. So the way that YALC works, if you're not familiar, is that most publishers bring books from their publishing house to sell at a discount at their booth, but it seems like, from what I noticed, that the books of all of the speakers who are on panels and doing signings are for sale in the Waterstones that get set up at YALC, and those are for full price. So I didn't buy a lot of those, because the other thing about YALC that can be kind of frustrating is that authors will do a panel and then sign during the time after that when there's another panel going on. So if you want to see that panel, you sort of have to make the decision between going to get books signed or listening to authors speak about whatever topic it is. And so most of the time I chose to listen to the panels as opposed to getting books signed. But there were 2 authors who I did really want signatures from, and so I did buy copies of their books in Waterstones because I didn't want to carry any books with me from Austria to the UK. And so I picked up Rebecca Barrow's most recent, which is called Bad Things Happen. I love Rebecca Barrow's books. I can never remember the titles. One is like, You Know Me, but I don't, let's see if it mentions them. Okay, so the books of hers that I have read are You Don't Know Me, But I Know You, and This Is What It Feels Like. And I really enjoyed both of them, but I love This Is What It Feels Like. And I was really hoping, I, again, only have an ARC copy of this at home, so I was hoping to get a finished copy at Waterstones and get that one signed because I really love it. But they only had her most recent one, which is more of like mystery thriller vibes, but it does still sound interesting, and I am excited to read it. So that was one of the ones I picked up at Waterstones, and the other one was Gay Club by Simon James Green. I have a couple of Simon James Green books, and I actually got Noah Can't Even when I was at YALC in 2017. And since then, I've read another of his books, Heartbreak Boys, and really liked it. So I knew going into it that I definitely wanted to pick up his latest one and get it signed. And I mean, Sparkly Rainbow, can you blame me? And I actually read Gay Club while I was still in the UK because I was so excited about it, and it is such an interesting, fun, funny book. It is about the LGBTQ alliance at the school, and there's going to be an election for president, and one of the people running knows that she like cannot possibly win with just the very small number of people in the club, so she gets their principal to open it up to become a school-wide election, and this leads to lots of hijinks and campaigning and lots of political stuff, and then like an unexpected result comes from this school-wide election, and everyone has to deal with the fallout of that. And this is another book that's currently getting a lot of pushback. Simon James Green is not having the easiest time with school visits in the UK, so if you can take the time to support him and other queer authors, that would be great. Okay, so now let's talk about some books that I bought from publishing booths, and a lot of the deals were like really hard to pass up. In fact, there were even more books that I wanted to buy, but I knew that I had a limited space in my suitcase. So even by the last day in the afternoon, some of the booths had gone to like 4 paperbacks for £10. And like, I do kind of regret not picking up the Poppy War series, which I do really want to read at that price, but I just had a limited amount of time in my suitcase, and these are the books that I did get. So one of the publishing houses was doing this like flash sale on Susan Nielsen books, 2 of her books for £5, and they did only have 2 of her books. So I ended up getting No Fixed Address and Tremendous Things. And No Fixed Address I do know about. I bought it from my last library, and I think that it's an interesting look at people who are currently unhoused and how they're dealing with that. Tremendous Things I actually had not heard of, so I'm not sure about this. So this sounds interesting, has an exchange in a foreign country in it, which is one of my favorite things. So again, like, did I really need these books? Not necessarily, but they were a really good deal, and I tend to really like Susan Nielsen's books. And like I said, when I am buying things for like $3 or whatever, I don't feel bad about possibly like giving them to a kid or donating them to my library when I am ready to move to the US and inevitably will not be able to take all of my books back with me. And that brings us to the majority of my books, which were from like the Harper stand. They just kept having better and better deals on their hardcovers. When I went Saturday afternoon, they had a couple of books that were on sale for £5 for hardcover, and then by Sunday morning, there was a bigger section of that, and then by Sunday afternoon, all of their hardcovers were £5, so I went a little bit crazy, but it's difficult to resist. So let me tell you, especially because a bunch of these books are books that just came out in the last few months. So like getting a brand new hardcover for only £5, which at the time that I was at YALC, the exchange rate was like £1 is $1.20, so a £5 hardcover is like $6 US for a hardcover, which is a great deal in my opinion. So let's talk about them. So I got The Silence That Binds Us by Joanna Ho, which I actually have already read since returning, and I really loved it. It was so hard to read because the main character in this book, her brother dies by suicide, and the book is sort of her dealing with the aftermath of that and how it connects to the racial tensions in her town. And so like, it's a really great look at grief, it's a really great look at anti-Asian racism, it's got really interesting relationships. I just loved it and like was heartbroken by it and was so excited to get a chance to get it at YALC. So then I got this book, The Storyteller by Catherine Williams. And Catherine Williams, I first saw her and learned of her when I went to the Southern Festival of Books in Nashville a while back, and really enjoyed the contemporary novels that she wrote at that time. The Storyteller I thought was fantasy, but now that I am reading the synopsis again, it sounds more like it is contemporary / mystery, but it is Russian inspired and related to like the story of Anastasia Romanoff and what happened to her. And the main character is sort of figuring out if what this person in her life is telling her is true or if everything is a big hoax. And so that sounds very interesting, and I am excited to read it. Next up, I got We Were Kings by Court Stevens, which is another mystery. This one I really don't know that much about. I read the synopsis when I was at the booth and deciding to buy it, and I feel like reading it made it sound like, since I liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder so much, I thought that I would really enjoy this one. So I picked it up and I'm gonna read it, and it was only £5, and yay. Next, I got Meet Me in the Middle by Alex Light. I have not read Alex Light's first novel, The Upside of Falling, but I do want to. And Meet Me in the Middle just came out recently and also seems like it's going to be like contemporary with some romance. I believe that there's also the brother's best friend trope, which is a particular favorite trope of mine. Other than that, like, my details of the synopsis are very vague. I do think that there is some kind of heavy stuff in this, so it will be interesting to see how this goes and if I like it as much as I hope I will, but I am excited to get the chance to read it, and like I said, you can't pass up a £5 hardcover. Then I got Meet Cute Diary, which I already know that I love. This is by Emery Lee, and this has a trans main character and a fake dating trope, and who doesn't love those things? This, again, I have already read, but I love it so much. Like, I didn't mind buying it just to have it on my shelves for now, and I'm perfectly happy to donate it to my library when I move back to the United States. But I do love the summer camp setting. I love the romance that develops between the main character and another employee of the camp that they work at, and I love a fake dating trope. So all of those things make me very happy. And gosh, this is just, it's such a beautiful cover. Like, I am probably going to do a reread sometime soon just because I'm so excited to have a physical copy. Next, I got If You Change Your Mind by Robbie Weber. Again, this is one that just came out recently and seems like the perfect thing to read in the summer. I don't know the plot of this book at all. Aspiring screenwriter main character wants to spend his summer free of distractions and finish his script, and certain that love only exists in the movies. But of course then, you know, things start happening, and gosh, just look at this cover. It seems like the perfect book to read in the summertime, even though I will never ever get on a surfboard ever in my life. And then finally, the last book that I picked up at YALC, I did not actually buy for me. I bought it for my library, which, like, in general, I try to avoid spending my own personal money on books for the library. Like, I try to stick to my budget, but my kids at my school go absolutely nuts for graphic novels. And when I saw Girl on Fire, which is Alicia Keys' graphic novel, for only £5, I thought that it was worth it. And like, yes, I can submit a receipt and be reimbursed if I can find the receipt by the time I go back to school in September. But like, sometimes a few dollars here and there, it's easier to just spend the money yourself. And I don't know what this is about. I just know that Alicia Keys wrote it and it's a graphic novel, and it's gonna go on my library shelves and the kids are going to be super excited. So that is everything that I picked up at YALC. Like I said, I was very tempted by all the deals at the publishing booths and could have easily picked up another dozen books if I had the room in my suitcase. And I did consider checking my bag instead of carrying it on, so I could use a tote bag and have 2 carry-ons and get even more books. But ultimately, I'm glad that I decided not to because of like logistical delays that happened on my flight back. Either way, I think that I did a really nice job of getting some good books at YALC. I will say that this year's YALC experience was not as great as when I went initially in 2017, and I know part of that is not the fault of YALC. The way the setup was due to construction at the Olympia, which is where London Comic Con is held, made it just a really difficult setup. It made it really hard to hear all of the panels because of the openness between the main Comic-Con floor and the YALC area. And like I said, I didn't love the way that publishers were now dealing with distributing ARCs and other things, and with all of the COVID stuff, it was really hard and anxiety inducing due to the fact that so few people were wearing masks. So I don't know if I will be returning to YALC again in the future, but it was good to be there this year and to be around English language books, which I do miss living in Austria. So that was my YALC experience. If you were at YALC, tell me what your experience was like, or tell me if any of the books I picked up are ones that you are interested in reading as well. And I will see you next time.